And a hard-driven ball. Go ball, go ball! See ya! There you have it! A walk-off home run by Jordan Bach gives the Giants the win.
Welcome to the Wood Buffalo Sports Report. My name is Sobhi Hamid. I am one of your hosts alongside Peter Perano for this season, where we look to highlight the amazing world of sports in the community of Wood Buffalo. And today we're going to start things off with a local legend. And I say legend, and that's coming from a personal connection. That's Jason Hamilton, a local boy.
Welcome, Jason.
Played minor hockey in Fort McMurray until the age of 13, 14. Then you made the move to Fort Sask at such a young age to pursue that higher level at the AAA with the Rangers. You came back home and got to play junior hockey with the Fort McMurray Oil Barons. And now you're still part of the hockey community here as the coach for the Peak Hockey Academy with the Fort McMurray Public School Division. Welcome, Jason. We're so excited to have you here, Jason. Man. And I'm excited for this to
first episode with
be
J-Dog.
here. Yeah, J-Dog. That's what.
Yeah, thanks for having me, gentlemen. First episode.
Yeah.
So I'm the guinea pig.
You are. You are.
I'll take that.
So let's start right away. Like, tell us about your hockey journey. Like, when did you get into hockey? Start off when you were like Adam or whatever. Tell us about your journey.
Yeah, honestly, obviously it's hard to pick like a place to start, but my first hockey memory actually, a really young age. I don't even know the age I was, but I'm left-handed by like throwing, writing, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And my dad got me a left-hand hockey stick, and when I picked it up, I held it backwards. I held it as a righty. And I don't know if there's any truth to this story, but I have an older brother, and he's a righty. And I used to hold his hockey sticks backwards, he said. Like young, 2, 3 years old. I'd hold his stick backwards, and he would say, I have to hold the other way. And again, I don't know the exact age, but that was my first hockey moment. And then honestly, just growing up here in Fort McMurray, it was kind of just easily to follow, like from my brother. My sister played a little bit too. She played for one game. She went on for one shift, and instead of going to the bench to change, she went to the door and left. So she doesn't have much experience. But honestly, probably following my brother. My dad was a big sports fan too. He didn't get to play a lot of sports growing up himself, so just kind of him pushing us to play sports. My parents that way. That's kind of what got me into it.
So at a young age, you started, right? It's like Adam and Pee and all that. So there probably was there spring hockey back then too? Like, were you involved in hockey year round, or you played during the minor hockey season?
So growing up, like at a young age, there was no spring hockey in Fort McMurray. Like I had a few friends and stuff that would travel down south towards Edmonton to play spring hockey. And actually, when I moved down south is when I kind of really started learning about it. Like my buddy's like, yeah, we play spring hockey. And I was like, spring hockey? Like I'm going to go play baseball or whatever other sport that I was signing up for that year. So it wasn't all year round. It was usually just during the hockey months. But again, playing street hockey, whatever else, you're always playing.
Yeah. So at what point did you realize, oh man, I'm actually pretty good? Like, because obviously, like when you're young, you're all scoring goals, right? First, there's no goalies, then there's like they start introducing goalies. At what point were you thinking like, oh man, I'm actually really good at this and I really enjoy this. Like I want to pursue this further.
It's hard to pick an exact age, but I guess for me, with anything I've kind of done in my life, I've always done it with like a lot of confidence, where even if I'm the worst, I'm always like, I'm the best. Like, you know, fair enough. Like a lot of times you'd have friends be like, oh, we're playing Peter Perino, we're playing Sobhi today. And I'd be like, Pete, Sobhi, like, I'm better than those guys. Or like, I don't think they're that good. I'm just as good as those guys. So
I love
a lot of internal motivation for me kind of drove me to kind of want to do it. To answer your question, be like, when did I know I was like maybe good? Day one. No, I'm kidding, of course. I'm kidding, of course. Couldn't pick an exact kind of time on when I thought I was good. But I guess if it was like, I had to pick a time, when I was like, made the travel team here my first year. So a lot of the times as a first year, you don't make the travel team. They'll make you play in the league here in town. And then you make the travel team as the second year. So every time I'd make it to like
U11.
Yeah, it was, I think,
Wow.
U11 or U12.
Yeah.
I made travel team as a first year.
Right.
I was like, oh, like if I'm making it with all these second years, I'm gonna be pretty good. And then that's actually when I had friends who moved down south for the first time. So that was kind of where the wheels got a turning there, where I was like, oh, maybe I can go that route as well.
And that's actually something I wanted to ask you about. To be so young at 14, moving away from your family.
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of these young athletes now really know the commitment to take that next step. What was that like for you?
So again, being so young, right? 14, innocent, not really like seeing the dangers of the world of, you know, being away from home.
Right.
Like it was all very exciting for me. It was a very, like now that I look back as an adult, right, I'm like, wow, that was crazy. Like I was 14, I was living in a billet that the minor hockey in Fort Saskatchewan provided. Wonderful lady. Her name was Charlotte. She was an old Ukrainian lady. Never billeted before in her life. And we paid them $500 a month essentially for me to be a billet. I had nobody from the team. It was just me by myself with this old Ukrainian lady and her partner.
Were you the only Fort Mac kid on that team?
I
that
was,
year?
yeah.
Oh,
So
that's tough.
3 of us went to try out. First day, they have first cuts. We're the last 3 people to go in the room. I go in like third last. My buddy go in after me. I'm waiting for them outside. I'm all excited. They both got cut.
Oh, no.
That was the first day. So it was like Friday, let's say the trial started. Friday night, they're going back to Fort Mac, and I'm the only Fort Mac kid left there. So big, you got to like mature quick, right? Like, because again, I had no mom and dad there to really push me to go to school and stuff like that. Now, mind you, if my grades dropped or anything like that, I missed the class or anything like that, my mom's calling me and like, do you want to catch a bus home right now? Because I will send you on a bus home, right? So it was a big privilege. You got to definitely have thick skin, grow up quick, right? Where a lot of things were put on myself. Like when my billet mom was working, it was like, you need to find a ride to practice tonight. I can't drive you. So then it's like texting people, right? Can you pick me up? Can you do this? Or whatever the case may be. Or if she wasn't home for dinner that night, like, hey, there's a frozen meal in the fridge, turn on the oven, put it in the oven kind of thing. Where again, being as the age we are now, that stuff's not a big deal, right? But then when I think back to me being 14 and that's
the difference, right?
That was like the big, like, geez, we really did that, hey?
And it's, I think, different if you were a 17-year-old doing it.
Yeah.
Like 14 is such a young age, completely open here. We're all teachers. We deal with kids. We see how immature the 14-year-olds are that we have in our classrooms. And to be able to have that responsibility kind of put on you to take care of yourself, essentially. Yes, you had a great billet in regards to somebody putting a roof over your head and willing to allow you into their home. But there's so much responsibilities that you have to do. Being 14 and spending those 4 years in Fort Sask kind of on your own, what's something that stood out for you that to this day it's like a big highlight, whether it's on the ice or off the ice?
Honestly, I'd probably have to come down to like friendships, teammates. Like still when I go to Edmonton now, like I will reach out to people that I play with. I'm still friends with them today, right? That I'll be like, hey, like I'm on my way to town. Do you want to get together for dinner? Do you want to do something this weekend, golf, whatever the case may be? So probably the biggest thing, which again, us all being sports people that came from that, would be friendships and bonds.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So like, obviously at the time we had no AAA here in Fort Mac, but our city did a great job developing our young athletes. So a lot of kids left. I'm not sure if a lot left back when you played. I know today kids are leaving, but now we're starting to have AAA programs here in town. Like, what do you think about, the growth of hockey here and the kind of direction we're going? There's academies, there's all these different programs, some great coaches in town. Like, how do you feel, Fort McMurray hockey's kind of going here in town? Yeah,
so since my return, right, as you say, I only teach or coach Peak Academy, so I'm not involved in minor hockey coaching itself, but I do try and get out and watch our athletes play. And honestly, again, I think it's a big hockey thing as well as a Fort McMurray thing here, but just the skill development of these young kids, like out of this world.
Yeah.
Because I watch some of these kids play, I'm like, I could not do that at
Yeah.
12 years. I can't even do that now, let alone 12 years old.
Yeah, we've seen you in the staff and
Yeah.
student game for our grad cups. You still got
I
some.
could still play, but
still
just
got
some
some
of the
skills.
things they do, the way they manipulate it and stuff, like just even the lacrosse move, for
Yeah.
example. I could go out there and again, I'm say 100 tries, I could probably get it with no goalie. But there are some of these kids out there, like,
Yeah,
3
just
tries,
boom.
and they're
Yeah.
putting it up into the net. So I think Fort McMurray hockey's in a good place. I think just has like an opportunity to continue growing, right? I think we're seeing a lot of more kids come into Fort McMurray as like people are having families and stuff. Like I go visit my parents.
Yeah.
Before the wildfire, their street, like a bunch of old retired people.
Mm.
Now you go to their street, there's like slow down signs, kids playing, and you see kids playing all the time. So I guess much as it relates to hockey, just Fort McMurray's getting younger itself. So I feel like we're going to see a lot of kids get involved in hockey.
It's having that rejuvenation as a community itself, and we're starting to see not just in Fort McMurray, the Wood Buffalo region, right? The Mackay kids, the Anzac kids that are getting these opportunities. I know our mutual friend of ours, Mark, right? He has a son that got to play in the native hockey games, and just the different opportunities that our kids here. Now, my question: you played a while back in minor hockey. Me and Peter have kids. We see the expense of sports. Do you still think that's a hurdle for kids to make that next jump? Because at the end of the day, there are hurdles, and that could definitely be one of them.
For sure. I think that's actually, honestly, I think that's going to become a bigger hurdle because you're seeing hockey become very privatized. Like whether that's at the minor hockey level, whether that's even you can look at like college, right, where they're getting these NIL deals. Like hockey's becoming, unfortunately, more expensive. And then, as you guys know, equipment, right? Like that's an underlying cost that a lot of people forget. And at this young age, I could get skates at 12. At 14, I need a new pair. They're not, again, I was lucky enough to be spoiled by my parents, but I was like, I do not want to wear the bottom of the line skates.
No.
Or I'm like, oh, if like these are the best stuff, I want to wear the best stuff, right? And I was fortunate enough. But again, a lot of kids aren't going to get that opportunity. So it is scary to think that way, Sobhi, like where it is becoming a bigger barrier. And I think we could say that could happen with all sports, but
Yeah.
hockey in
Yeah.
general, like I've seen it be getting a lot more privatized, even at the minor hockey age, where it's like almost don't want them to, because it's about the kids, right? You don't want them to be taken away from the kids. So if we're privatizing things, making it more expensive, are we closing doors on some kids? Most definitely, I think.
On the privatization, I think we're starting to see a lot of parents are creating their own mini academies to train their kids and then a few of their friends and renting out that ice time and charging to try to get that advantage and that next step and kind of that push forward.
So that's the thing now. So I feel like, I think minor hockey does a great job keeping it affordable. The amount of ice time you get, I think our Fort McMurray minor hockey does a great job. But obviously there's all these training opportunities that run all year long, including the summer. I know you were a multi-sport athlete. I stress that hugely. I think it's so important. Were you multi-sport? Tell me about your multi-sport kind of, what did you do besides hockey? Because I think it's important that kids take time away from hockey in the summer, go play something else. Or what did you do growing up to kind of train your athletic abilities and not just hyper focus on those abilities that are strictly hockey?
Yeah, no, I think multi-sport athlete is I think every kid that plays sports should be a multi-sport athlete, whether it's just something you go do for fun with your friends, whether you join another league in the summer, in the winter, whatever the case may be. For me, though, it was I played a little bit of everything. In school, I played volleyball, I played basketball, I played badminton. Again, this was all at a young age, right? Because hockey took over for me around 14. But I did play a lot of baseball growing up. So probably till I was about 14 or 15, I'd play rep baseball in the summer. So that was my big second sport. I think it really transferred well to hockey because you had to have the hand-eye, the quick decision-making, precise throwing. You could still need to be able to run, right? So I think baseball had a big factor for me. It wasn't my favorite sport. I couldn't hit the ball. So I had a coach. His name was Jerry McPherson. He still lives here in town. Great guy. Play with his son. He always used to tell me I'd go up to the batter's box, right? He'd be on third base or whatever. And I was the leadoff hitter because I could run faster.
Yeah.
He said, Jason, and he said this to my brother too, your job is to get to first base. He said, I don't care how you get there. It's a walk, it's a bunt, it's a hit. I don't care how you get to first. I will get you home. He always used to say that to me. And so every time I'd get on first base, steal.
Yeah.
And that was a lot of fun for me. Did a little bit of pitching and things like that.
Do you think the most high-level hockey players that you know were multi-sport athletes?
Well, let's say if they weren't even multi-sport athletes, they were great athletes. So let's say like I have friends who are playing professional now. They are fantastic athletes. Like we can pick up a golf club. We've done a softball tournament.
Yeah.
We go shoot hoops. They can do it competently.
Yeah.
Like now, do they look like LeBron James, Steph Curry, or anything like that? Of course not,
No.
right? But they can do it at a level as a beginner, right? Where it doesn't look like, wow, you've never done this before.
Right,
So
right.
I think being comfortable, just physical awareness, all that, just makes you a better athlete overall. And that was something I did a lot as a kid, where like, and growing up in Beacon Hill, in my backyard, we had a cement pad with 2 basketball hoops. So I'd play basketball all the time. When I didn't want to play basketball, the hockey net was there. When I was done with that, we'd put the hockey nets in the middle to play volleyball. When I was done with that, I'd go to the trampoline. When I was done with that, I'd go to the park and play grounders or something with my friends.
Right.
When I was done with that, I'd get on a bike. We'd go biking around and hit some jumps and things like that. So it was always something somewhat related to physical activity or sport that I was doing.
That's huge.
And I think that just made a big, big difference in when it came to hockey.
Well, you're physically literate,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right?
100%.
Like you know how to move, you know the capabilities of your body, you know how to move your body. And that came through all those things. Like you said, your friends that are professionals, they might not have played everything else, but they understand their body and how to move things. And that's huge. Now, you spent all this time outside. I also know that you dabble in gaming a little bit as well,
course.
right? How important is it to enjoy your vices almost? And I don't want to call them vices at the end of the day, but the stuff that you enjoy that's away from the world of sports and the way away from the training on ice and off ice and the games.
I think that's so important, especially now, because again, I'm not fully involved in it, but from what I can see, you have your volleyball players. What do they play? Only volleyball. Whether eat, sleep, and breathe in volleyball or basketball, hockey, whatever sport you want to play. I think it's so important to step away from that, because when you are so hyper fixated on something, you start to become stressed out about it, right? Like, oh my God, like, am I good enough? Am I this? Am I that? And honestly, for me, gaming, growing up, even now as an adult, it's just kind of like a stress reliever where I can kind of focus on something else and no longer thinking about the million things that I need to do. Or, if it was growing up, thinking about how I did this bad at hockey, or, I got in trouble for doing this, or whatever the case may be. For me, it was a big stress reliever. I would have played more growing up, but my parents were big on, especially in the summer, as it should be. It was like, hey, you've played long enough. You need to get out of the house. And then it's like, yeah, just give me 5 minutes. It's like, no, you need to get out now, or you're not going to have an Xbox anymore. So it was a big stress reliever. Good way to kind of just separate yourself from the crazy world we live in.
Sweet. So tell me about now going back to hockey in terms of your journey. So you played minor hockey, you go to Fort Sask, and then you're getting close to like, draft year and stuff like that. I'm not sure, like, was that stuff that went through your head? Like, do you want to get drafted? Did you even think about it? Were you kind of, were you stressed about it? And then eventually you went and played junior A. And you went and played for the Fort Mac Oil Barons. So tell me about like those last kind of couple years, like, and what you were going to do, whether you went, whether you were going to go to the States or play junior, or like how did that whole thing play out for you?
Yeah. So from like the time I was 14, you start getting like junior spring camps. So from all the teams all over Alberta, Saskatchewan, could be BC, anywhere, they start inviting to your spring camps as young as 14. Like when I think I was, after that first year in Fort Sask, I think I went to 3 spring camps, which was like a lot, right? A lot of travel. I think it was like Lloydminster, Drayton Valley, and Fort McMurray. I think Fort McMurray's was in Edmonton or Calgary at the time. You go around to these camps, get people to look at you. You essentially go in, have a coach's meeting, get told what you need to work on. They were a big journey, but I guess to get back to your question, you don't really think so after the Bantam draft is when you're 14. Didn't expect to get drafted. Wasn't even thinking about it. But after you kind of know, like, okay, if I'm not on their radar now, it's like professional wasn't really in like my mind at that point. And then I started to kind of think, once I got 15, 16, starting to drive, I'm like, okay, I want to play junior. I'm like, okay, what can junior do for me? I'm like, well, if I do well enough there, I could potentially get a scholarship to go to school, have my schooling paid for, play up as long as competitively as I could. But at the professional level, you weren't really thinking about it too much unless it was on your radar. And if you're not playing in junior A or WHL by the time you were 16 or 17, there was a very low chance you weren't going to get looked at. So professional wasn't a big thing, but just to answer your question, like I wanted to kind of get to college. That was actually my goal. Like once I got 16, especially, where I was like, okay, I'm obviously not going professional, but I'm like, what can I get out of this besides, fun competition? I was like, schooling. So that was always my goal.
Awesome.
And then the opportunity to play for the Canada Huskies was close, but then different things, and I think that would have been huge. With the idea of you now playing junior A, what was your time like coming back home and getting to play in front of family and friends for the mob?
So it was like when I think back now, I'm like, oh, it was a little stressful. I don't think I was as stressed as I was as like an 18-year-old, because again, I was very confident, like when I would like go in, that I could be as good as these people or whatever the case may be. But when I look back now, I'm like, oh, it was like stressful in a sense, like when you're like, like you're going to a game and all your buddies are like, yeah, I'm coming, your parents are coming. There's like people's parents that you went to school with that are in the stands that know you and all that. And so that actually did end up putting a bit of pressure on me. I had a funny year though with the Barons. My first game of the year, I broke my collarbone. It was the home opener. I went back in the corner to get a puck. I seen the guy coming. I dumped the puck away. We just went shoulder on shoulder and my clavicle exploded. I didn't know. So I played 5 games with a broken collarbone. And
Jeepers.
I just remember having this bump on my collarbone. And I kept saying to the trainer, Pete, I'm like, Pete, this is not right. And he's like making me do tests, like stress tests, like pushing it, all this. And I got no pain. It ain't broken. You're good. And then just one day after road trip, I'm like, man, this bump, like it's not supposed to be there. Okay, well, go get an x-ray just to be safe. And I'm on the ice for practice, shooting the puck around before the coach blows the whistle, start drills. And the trainer like calls coach over and says, Jason's got to get off the ice. He has a broken clavicle. And the coach's like, that guy? And I'm like skating around, shooting stick handling, like nothing happened kind of thing. And then I go off and trainer's like, yeah, your clavicle's broken. And again, 18, not into sports medicine. I'm like, what the hell's a clavicle? Said, it's a collarbone. I said, oh. And I had to get undressed, put me in a sling, went down, seen the doctor. And sure enough, it was broken clavicle and separated shoulder. So that gave like a poor start on my first year, right, with the Barons. I actually, going into like the year, I had like one of the best camps I ever had. I was feeling very, very confident in my game. Felt really good about it. Broke my collarbone first game of the year. I don't think I returned until end of November or December.
Wow.
So with that being said, I missed 30 out of 60 games. And so when I came back after those 30 games, I was 30 games behind all the other rookies, 30 games behind all the other vets, right, who now have 100 games. And for me, it was actually just really, really challenging to kind of catch up with them, like especially too. And then as you're struggling to catch up, right, people are hard on you, and then your confidence can kind of go down. And then it was just kind of going through the motions there the rest of the way. But it was a lot of fun to come home. Made so many good friends that I still talk to today. It was so cool to play in front of my friends and family. And like, obviously, as a kid, I used to go to the Barons game every single weekend. I used to watch them like when they went to the RBC Cup. Like I still remember players' names that played here and things like that. They were like the NHL to me. So getting to play, like essentially as a little kid, right, your dream was to play for them, to get to fulfill that dream. It was really, really cool.
That's so awesome to hear, man.
Yeah. Tough that you had broke your collarbone the first year, but
yeah, it is what it is, right?
Yeah.
Life happens. But that was like, again, when I think back, right, didn't have my greatest year with them. I think back and like, sometimes you're like, oh, I suck, or I wasn't any good. And then, I kind of think back, I'm like, well, like, did I suck, or was there like some other factors that also played in that, caused me to not have my greatest year? And we weren't the strongest team that year anyway, so it wasn't like there was a really high expectations, right, from me as an individual, but I wasn't able to meet my own, which is what it is.
And I think what a lot of people don't see is the stuff that happens behind the scenes as well.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the stuff, as you mentioned,
can
factor into what success you might have or might not have, and how that kind of patrols. And that's what happens when you get to the higher levels, I think.
Yeah.
Right? I can't really speak on higher levels of sports, but there does become things that are happening behind the scenes, whether it's hockey or volleyball or basketball or anything, that kind of factor that in.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this first year I would have experienced like hockey more as a business, which I kind of got a taste of it the year before. I was in White Court as a 17-year-old. The high school deadline is October 10th. I got sent home October 10th. Funniest enough, I messed up my ankle. I took a slap shot like right to the ankle. I was in front of the net, battling, didn't see, like hit me right on the inside of the foot. Again, silly enough, I play through the pain because I didn't want to get cut. And coach called me in one day. He's like, "What's wrong with your foot? Like you can't skate." And I'm like, "I took a slap shot to the ankle." But sure enough, I got cut October 10th. Never talked to White Court ever again. They never even sent me a spring camp invite. And they send spring camp invites to everybody. But so then that was like my first taste of the business. And then when I came here, we didn't have a great year. And then a lot of people, right, being traded, things like that. And it's kind of like you're losing friends and all that. And again, as a young guy, right, you're like, why would the coach do that? But then as an older man, now it's like the coach has a job to do. And if he doesn't do a good job, it's him on the line, not us, right? So that was an interesting piece of experience for sure.
Interesting. So now you're slowly getting into the coaching role. Obviously, you're coaching with Peak. You talked about potentially getting involved with minor hockey coaching. Do you have any like, is there a coach that like really stands out to you that kind of like inspired you the most, or like really like that you really remember fondly?
Yeah, I got one. So it would have been my final year of minor hockey. It would have been grade 12, 17. Would have been midget AAA in Fort Sask. This would have been right after I got cut from White Court. I got to go back and play midget AAA. And obviously, right, I felt really confident about myself as a player. I was like, I got to go back and play midget AAA. Like I should be playing junior, whatever the case may be. So I didn't have a great attitude when I went in. But the coach's name was Sean Bissell. So he came, this was his first year in Fort Sask. He coached junior, coached all over. He was a really well-respected coach before he came to Fort Sask. And he came there. All my friends I was talking to were saying good things about him. And I came back. He was excited to have me back. And then I had, I didn't have a good attitude when I first came back, right? Because it was like a big change for me, going from this change of pace. So I didn't have a great attitude come back. But again, instead of like bringing me in and kind of just like ripping me apart, like saying your attitude sucks, whatever the case may be, he kind of just, we'd like to say like he's a straight shooter. He just kind of sat me down and essentially said like, hey, like, you're not happy with the way everything's going right now. Like, we're going to need you to change your attitude if this team's going to have any success. Like, you're going to be a leader on this team, whatever the case may be. And so just kind of him sitting me down, like being like talking to me like as a human being instead of like a player or, you know, like coach player. It really kind of stuck with me there. And we actually had one of our most successful years. We were only 500, but again, Fort Sask, we struggled a lot. But just the belief he gave us was a big thing that all of us remember. Like when we still talk about hockey to this day with my friends, we always talk about that year with Biss, where just the kind of coach he was, he made you believe, right? Like that was the biggest thing I could say. Like he really made you believe that you were going to be successful. Like he's like, I have the formula. He's like, if you guys execute, like we will be successful. And over the time of the year, again, we never had anyone essentially believing in us the way that he did. Or, you know, when someone says something, like, be like, they say it and you're like, yeah, okay. And you maybe don't fully believe it. Like this, he made us fully believe, whether he did or not. I couldn't tell you to this day, but he made us believe like that, hey, that you could do this and that you have a chance to do something great if we just like stick to the formula or to the game plan. And he really taught us a lot about the systems of hockey. I went through all minor hockey here, minor hockey in Fort Sask, and we'd learn systems and stuff like that. But like he gave us so many systems that really made a big difference in when we moved on to whatever the case may be, understanding the game. And one of the coolest things he did that really sticks with me too is we do video sessions. He would show us video from the NHL. So it'd be the same system we're running. So let's just say 2-1-2 forward check. So that's two guys chasing, one guy kind of hanging back, and then your 2D up at the top. He would show us like the Colorado Avalanche doing it, Crosby doing it, whoever's doing it. Like he would stop it, right, circle it up. This is where we should be, things like that. And again, just getting to see it at the professional level, like things he wants to show us to do that they do at the professional level. It was almost easier to learn, right? It was very eye-opening. Like when you see it done at that higher level, it was really easy for us to be like, okay, like if they're doing it and it works, like obviously it's going to help us out a lot. But just a great guy, great person, and just really made us as a team come together.
That's awesome.
Had a lot of belief in each other.
That's awesome. So obviously you've spoken to my son before.
Yeah.
He's a huge fan of yours. He's like, oh, you gotta go hang out with J-Dog. I miss J-Dog. And you've had a lot of great talks with him. Like you kind of motivated him during his hockey season. What can you give like other younger hockey players who just as like, I don't know, a tip, a feedback, something for them? Like, what would you offer a young kid today who's playing hockey?
I got two.
Okay.
Because two that stick out to me. One would be based on my personality. We talk about them. Just be confident. Like at the end of the day, like my friends always say with golf now, because I'm the worst golfer in my friend group. Like nobody in Fort McMurray is good at golf, and obviously that's a very broad statement.
Yeah.
There's some good golfers, but if you compare it to the professional level, nobody's good.
Yeah.
Same thing, I guess, with like minor hockey. Like nobody's in the NHL. Very, very, maybe 1%. One out of all the kids you see, maybe one of them are going to make the NHL.
Yeah.
So it's like, why are you being intimidated or whatever the case not be? So I'd say just like go in with a large amount of confidence, right? Just like keep telling yourself that I'm the best. I can do this. I'm just as good as Sobhi. I'm just as good as Pete, whatever the case may be, right? Just keep telling yourself those things. And then my second bit would be, growing up, obviously, I'm not a massive guy. That was always my biggest thing growing up, was I was never big enough. And there was like, you got to get bigger, got to get stronger. And I struggled with that. Like I would try and eat more. And again, if I look back, could I have done way more on my diet? 100%. But it was never easy for me to put on weight. So I'd spend a lot of time, right, like in the gym, whatever the case may be. Just go work on your skills. That's kind of my thing to like, especially the younger kids. Now, when you get to 14, 15, right, and you're trying to make that jump to the next level and you need to be stronger, you're going to have to get a lot stronger. But at the very young age, so let's say like your son's age, you just work on the skills, shoot, stick handle, pass, whatever the case may be, just the fundamentals, like out in the backyard all the time. If you just keep working on those skills, eventually, right, like you're not a small guy.
Yeah.
Like Luke is not going to be small forever, right?
Yeah.
Like he's eventually going to have a big, strong stature.
Yeah.
Where if he imagine, like, I'm just looking at your size. I'm like, if he's your size but can stick hand, shoot, pass like really, really well, could be an unstoppable
Or
force.
one thing you told him and a couple other boys before is like grind. Just
Yeah,
grind.
that's too actually is a great way to work at it.
You know what I mean? Like all these kids, like you can outwork kids because there's kids who are super skilled and you're not going to catch them right away.
Yeah.
But if you outwork them, that's a different story.
Yeah. Yeah. And that was actually where I think of that is my dad. He left home at 14 or 16, again, different time period, right?
Yeah.
But he left Ontario, moved to BC to become a logger at 16.
Yeah.
And so like his whole life he had to work hard, right? So it's always when I was out there, it's like just work hard, just work hard, just work hard. And like I can remember myself as like a young kid. So like Adam, Pee-wee, I could hear him in the stands. If you're tired, get off the ice, right? Like if you weren't working hard enough, it was like you could always work harder, and that's a great way to look at it. Most of the best players in the NHL right now, like especially if you look at the two-way guys, what do?
Yeah.
They grind. They work extremely hard. I was never the most skilled. Maybe for Fort McMurray, I was up in the upper tier, but when it came to it, I was just like a dog on a bone. Like I would never quit on a puck, like
J-Dog.
ever. But honestly, that was the way I was. Like I could lose the puck, but like I'm taking it right back before you can even get away.
Yeah.
I still like, yeah, I remember those moments where I'd always get described by coaches as like tenacious, just like on the puck.
It's a good word too.
And like, I know I had to go look it up later when first coach was like, the heck is tenacious? I was like 17. I was like, what does that mean? And I was with my mom actually driving. She's like, that's a good thing, honey. And I'm like,
That's
are you sure? But hard work will beat, I mean, you guys know this. We talked about this before, but hard work will beat skill any day of the week.
Yeah.
Like it does not matter if you work harder than those other kids, you will get ahead. And then again, right, where we talk about working hard, it's not just on the ice or it's like off the ice. If you really want to be good, right?
Yeah.
You can shoot pucks every day. You can pass every day. Whatever sport it is, you can work on it at home every single day. If you don't grind, you're not going to get nowhere.
That's true. Awesome. So you went from superstar, young Fort Mac minor hockey player, AAA player, junior player. Now you're a coach and a Chell elite player.
Yeah. Hey, still involved with the game.
It gotta be.
That's
Not
great.
playing.
I kind of want to wrap this up with one last question here. Where do you see yourself moving forward in the world of hockey here in Fort McMurray in the Wood Buffalo area?
Yeah, so it's definitely something I want to get like involved with coaching with, like minor hockey or whatever the case may be. And again, that would go back to that Coach Bissell we had. Just such a positive impact he had on my life. And like I said, I could probably call up 5 or 6 people from that team and just the positive impact he had on their life. I want to have that same impact on kids. And I think like what stops me sometimes is like almost like confidence or like imposter syndrome. Like, do I really have the knowledge to tell these kids like what to do? Like, you know what I mean? Like sometimes I almost second guess myself. And it's funny, I talk about confidence. As I've gotten older, I second guess myself more where I'm like, I'm just an old man now. Like, I don't know anything. But I do really want to get involved in minor hockey, whether that's, so probably, I don't know when, because again, it's a lot to give up your time, right? And that's actually what's really stopped me too, is do I want to give up my time to travel on the weekends right now where my fiance's at home, my family has little kids, so my niece and nephews, like, do I want to give up time with them for these other kids? The answer is yes, but it's also no, because at this point in time, but I would love to get involved. I think the first thing I'll do is volunteer for a team in the coming years. Let's say I don't have an exact day. I'd like to get on as an assistant and then eventually do my own head coach on a team here in minor hockey. I don't have an age group, but I love teaching junior high because I remember my junior high years. So I feel like I could have a really positive impact on that age. So let's say 11 to 14-year-old.
I think you do great.
That's where I'd want to go eventually.
I think your personality and your like, just like the way you speak and your, I don't know, you know what I mean? Like, you're not that coach that's just like screaming, berating kids. You have a way to like instill this like confidence in anybody, right?
Yeah.
Like,
and at that age, yes, it becomes competitive. It becomes more competitive at that age, but it's developmental still. Yeah, right. You're learning so much, and I know for you're hoping to have a family in the future.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to see kind of what the little Hamiltons,
little J dogs,
right? The J pups that are coming up in the future, and you getting involved, because I think that's where you are willing to commit that time when it's for your own family. So and I think it's just unfortunate for McMurray we're so far, right? Like just with the travel, right? Like I think if this was in Edmonton, I think I'd already be like volunteering, and that again could be a poor excuse, whatever the case may be. But it's just if you're with a travel team, as you know, weekend, right? Like 4 or 5 hours down the highway every other weekend. Where my fiance works 4 10s, I only get to see her for 3 full days as it is, and then all my family works, and I work, and so it's like trying to, you know how it is, life. It's a balance. Just trying to balance life between work and pleasure and recreation, whatever the case may be. It's always a challenge, but that's something I want to do. Me and my friends always used to say, love Fort McMurray, but not always did I get the best coaching here, and that goes anywhere. In Fort Sask, I had on par with my Fort McMurray coaches. Besides the one, like not really any better. Yeah. Again, a lot of parents, right, volunteer, which thankfully they do, or else we wouldn't be able to have a team. So me and my friends always used to say, like, when we're older, like we're gonna come back and we're gonna like coach a team or whatever, and we're really gonna try and give the kids the coaching that they deserve and like need in a way. Because when I got to junior, there were some things I didn't know, systems and like that were pretty basic stuff now that I look back that nobody really taught me, or I didn't listen. I couldn't tell you at this point, but you get what I mean. So it's like one day definitely want to get involved and just give back. So many people gave things to me, went through coaching and sports that I feel like I'm at least obligated to share my knowledge, which I think is okay. Like it's not terrible knowledge, man. Right? It's not terrible. For sure. Man, I'm really excited to see what your future holds in the world of hockey from a coaching perspective. I would love to continue competing against you at these Grad Cup games that we have here at the school. Jason, man, thank you very much for joining us. It was an absolute pleasure. And hopefully you get to enjoy this on TELUS Optic when it comes out in the new year, because it will be on. Yeah, I'm always scared to listen to myself. I know. Like, but it's done. We'll try to make sure you sound good. Yeah, sound good, look good. Hey, thank you very much for joining us at the Wood Buffalo Sports Report. My name is Sobhi Hamid for Peter Perano and Jason Hamilton saying see you next time.